Okay, welcome back to Global Environment. Today we're going to cover the topic of evolution. So I try to get ready for this lecture every time, so I'm polished up. So I got out one of my favorite books, Complete Idiot's Guide. So I'm all set for you. So let's do some basics. What does evolution mean? What is kind of the standard definition? So evolution basically just means slow change. Any kind of change, any kind of slow change. You might think, what's the opposite of evolution? That would be revolution. Okay, but we're going to talk about a particular type of evolution. So we're going to look at biological evolution by natural selection. So what is that all about? Why is it important? So really, it's a paradigm through which modern biology is understood and interpreted. It's been said that you can't understand anything in biology without using kind of the lens of biological evolution, and most people would agree with it. Okay, it's also an organizing theme for disciplines related to biological sciences. So if you think about psychology these days, it really has strong underpinnings in evolution. Even sociology. There's many fields related to the natural sciences that really require evolution to make things make sense. Okay, so it's also important in the context of this course because of how it's related to the environment. And we can think of some examples right off the bat. When you look at agricultural production, a major contributor to human well-being, and the use of pesticides, we can see pesticide resistance coming to a forefront in environmental problems. And then you got to add more pesticides, things like that really impact the environment. If we think of environmental problems related to disease, you can see how diseases evolve over time and the challenges that presents. In addition, if we're looking at how ecosystems and organisms respond to change, for example, global warming or climate change, can they adapt quick enough? So these are all related to evolution. Okay, so let's go into a little history about evolution. Most of you know Charles Darwin came up with the most common theory that we're using today, and he was a major thinker that influenced the 19th, 20th, and 21st century sciences, and he came up with the book, The Origin of Species. So very important contributor to the sciences. So how did he get this idea? And you might have read that he traveled around the world on a ship called the Beagle. He was a naturalist. He visited all different places, and through that trip he came into contact with vistas like this. And this is a shot in Patagonia. And what do you see here? What do you see here? You see different ecosystems. You see maybe a pond here, wetlands, some forested regions, some grassland, tundra-like alpine areas. And look at, there's characteristic organisms that live in each part of this vista, in each of these ecosystems. And these organisms have the adaptations that allow them to successfully exist in these locations. So if we go back to the slide and you look at it, if there's a plant down in this wetland, it has adaptations that allow it to survive in a very wet climate that, maybe it's the temperature changes aren't great. And there are also plants in a region like this that have very different challenges, and they have adaptations to protect themselves. So an organism here would have to be able to resist big temperature changes. It might have to have adaptations that allow it to survive in a very dry climate. So very different than organisms over in the wetland. So the question is, how did this occur? How did these adaptations evolve in these species? And that's where natural selection came in. And he was very influenced by the work of some other people as well. So what is the framework for evolution, biological evolution by natural selection? You know, he saw, again, this distribution of living forms during his travels. He also had fossil evidence that he could observe that organisms that are alive today weren't alive before, and maybe intermediates between. He also looked at the domestication of animals, which had a big impact on him. It's been said that the NASCAR of the Victorian England were pigeons, and people bred pigeons, and he saw how a breeder could take a small trait in a pigeon and really blow it up into something that looked completely different. So he knew that organisms had the ability to change. Also, geologists influenced him. Hutton and Lyell, uniformitarianism, the idea that really processes that are occurring today in the environment when it comes to geology, you could use those processes to explain why something is the way it is, like a canyon through just the erosion caused by streams. Malthus, Malthus observed that organisms produced an abundance of offspring, and not all those survived, and that was crucial for his understanding. And so he built 4 principles based on this. So more individuals are produced than survive. There's diversity, variability in a population. If you look around a classroom, there's lots of people, and they all look different. They have similarities, but they have differences. And that variability is inherited. So you look more like your parents than the milkman, hopefully. Okay, and then there's that differential survival, the natural selection. So within this variability, some organisms have the adaptations that allow them to survive, and then they pass their genes on to the next generation. Okay, so we're going to stop right here, and in the next segment, we're going to add something kind of new. We're going to really strengthen your understanding of the role of energy in evolution. So I'll see you next time.